Hey everyone, you know how it is running a business, right? It always feels like there's another expense popping up, another thing to keep track of.
Right. It's like a never-ending game of whack-a-mole.
Exactly. And one area where those costs can really sneak up on you, especially if you're shipping products, is with how carriers like, UPS and FedEx actually charge for their services.
Yeah, for sure.
So for this deep dive, we're going to tackle a topic that, honestly, it's about to become even more critical for your bottom line in 2025.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's all about the 2025 dimensional weight pricing updates coming from the major carriers. Dimensional weight, or dim weight for short.
Oh yeah, dim weight. That's a big one. A lot of folks, especially if they're newer to shipping or just haven't had to deal with it as much in the past, they might not fully grasp how it works and how much it can impact their bottom line.
Right. So it's definitely worth unpacking. At its core, dim weight, it's all about how much space your package takes up in their trucks and planes, not just how much it actually weighs on the scale.
Exactly. It's their way of making sure they're getting paid for the valuable space your package is occupying.
Yep, the valuable real estate. And the basic calculation, it's actually pretty straightforward. You take the length of your package, multiply that by the width, multiply that by the height, all in inches, and then you divide that total by a number called a dim divisor.
The magic dim divisor.
Historically, for both UPS and FedEx, that divisor has been around 139 for most packages. So, to give you a real-world example, imagine a box, pretty standard size, 12 inches by 12 inches by 12 inches.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
That's 1,728 cubic inches. And if you divide that by the 139 divisor, that box, even if it only has, like, air in it, is going to be billed to you as if it weighed 13 pounds.
And here's where things get interesting.
Yeah, because that billing weight, it applies even if the stuff inside only weighs, let's say, 5 pounds.
Which can be a real eye-opener for a lot of businesses. They're like, wait, I'm paying for empty space.
Right. You're paying for that space, regardless of the actual weight.
Yeah.
And that's precisely where dim weight can really start to eat into your profits if you're not careful.
Absolutely. And what we're going to do in this deep dive is break down what's changing with dim weight pricing in 2025 so you can see exactly how these updates might affect your shipping costs. And more importantly, we're going to arm you with some strategies to actually navigate these changes so you can, avoid those unexpected cost increases.
We don't want any surprises.
No surprises. And to do that, we've been looking at all sorts of sources, industry reports, official carrier announcements, you name it. We're really trying to get a complete picture here.
Okay, so let's jump right into the specifics. What's actually changing with dim weight in 2025?
Yeah.
It sounds like there are a few major things we need to be aware of.
Yeah, definitely a few things to keep an eye on. One of the biggest changes, and there's been a lot of buzz about this, is the dim divisor itself. It's actually getting smaller. Reports suggest that major carriers are likely going to lower it, maybe from 139 down to 125, possibly even lower in some cases.
Wait, hold on. If the divisor gets smaller, does that mean the build weight goes down too? I feel like I'm missing something here.
That's a great question. Because it seems counterintuitive, right? But actually, a lower dim divisor means a higher build weight for the same size package. Think about it like this. You're dividing the volume by a smaller number, so the result is going to be larger.
Oh, okay, I see. It's like reverse math.
Kind of, yeah. So that 12 by 12 box we were talking about, if the divisor drops to 125, well, suddenly it's being billed as if it weighs almost 14 pounds instead of 13. And while 1 pound might not seem like a huge deal, when you're shipping out tons of packages every month, those extra pounds add up fast.
This makes sense. The cost can really snowball.
Yeah.
Okay, so smaller divisor equals bigger build weight. What else is changing?
We're also seeing dim weight being applied to more shipping services. Previously, some services, even within UPS and FedEx and some options with USPS and regional carriers, they were exempt from dim weight calculations. But now it seems like there's a trend towards using dim weight pretty much across the board.
Oh, so even if I was using a service that didn't factor in dim weight before, that might not be the case anymore.
Exactly. Definitely something to double check as we get closer to 2025.
Got it. Now, I also read something about new surcharges coming into play.
Yes, that's another big change. Both UPS and FedEx are rolling out new surcharges specifically for large and bulky packages. It's a way for them to keep up with the growth of e-commerce and all the, oversized packages that come with it.
Right. Makes sense. So many people buying stuff online these days.
Exactly. And these surcharges can be hefty, especially for businesses selling larger items online. So if you're shipping things like furniture or, those giant stuffed animals that are so popular, you're probably going to see your shipping costs go up.
Because of the space those items take up. even if they aren't super heavy.
Exactly. And it's important to note that UPS and FedEx aren't necessarily doing the exact same thing. FedEx seems to be mainly focused on adjusting the dim divisor, while UPS is going with a new tiered pricing structure. From what we've gathered, this new structure will take into account not only the dim weight, but also the shipping zone and the service level.
Well, it's more complicated.
Yeah, more factors to consider. Basically, a package going across the country with overnight shipping, that's going to be hit harder by dim weight than a package going a short distance with ground shipping.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just a blanket change. You really need to pay attention to the specific carrier we're using.
Absolutely. It's more important than ever to really understand the details of each carrier's pricing structure.
Okay, so with all these changes, the lower divisors, the wider application of dim weight, the new surcharges, the different approaches from UPS and FedEx, what does it all actually mean for a business owner who ships products regularly? How's it going to hit their wallet?
Well, the most obvious impact is going to be higher shipping costs, especially for those large, lightweight packages. Remember that 20-inch by 16-inch by 12-inch box we were talking about? Let's say it only weighs 5 pounds. With the old 139 divisor, it would have been billed at around 19 pounds.
Okay.
But with a 125 divisor, that same box is now going to be billed at something like 22 pounds.
So a 3-pound difference.
Which might not sound like a lot, but that's nearly a 15% increase in shipping costs for the same package. And for businesses operating on thin margins, that can be a significant hit.
It's not just a few extra cents here and there. That's real money.
Exactly. And as we mentioned earlier, e-commerce businesses and subscription box services, they're likely to feel this impact the most. They often use larger packaging to protect products or, to create a nice unboxing experience.
Right. Presentation is important.
But now all that extra space, it's going to cost them more.
So what can businesses do to try to minimize the impact of these changes? It feels a little like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Well, the good news is there are things they can do. One of the most effective strategies is to really optimize their packaging.
Okay, what does that look like in practice?
It starts with using the smallest box possible. A box that fits snugly around the product without a lot of extra space.
So ditch those oversized boxes.
Exactly. Even a small reduction in box size can make a difference in dim weight. And for businesses shipping a lot of similar-sized products, it might even be worth investing in custom-sized boxes. Sure, there's an upfront cost, but in the long run, it can save you a lot of money on shipping.
Okay, interesting. So custom-sized boxes to the rescue. What about alternatives to boxes altogether?
That's another good option. If your product allows for it, poly mailers can be a great alternative to boxes. They're flexible and tend to conform to the shape of the product, so you often don't have to worry about dim weight. This works especially well for softer goods like clothing or things that don't need a lot of protection during shipping.
So less rigid packaging. Okay, that makes sense. What else can businesses do besides rethinking their boxes?
It's also a good time to take a fresh look at your carrier options. Don't just assume UPS or FedEx is the best choice.
They might not be the cheapest anymore.
Right. USPS or regional carriers might have more favorable dim weight policies, especially if you're mainly shipping within a certain area. It's worth doing some research to see if switching carriers could save you money.
Okay, so shop around. Don't be afraid to switch things up. What about those hybrid shipping services I've heard of, like UPS SurePost and FedEx SmartPost?
Yeah, those are worth looking into too. These services use UPS or FedEx for part of the delivery and then hand off the final delivery to USPS. It can be a more cost-effective option, especially for residential deliveries. But again, it depends on your specific needs and shipping patterns. It's important to check their dim weight policies.
Okay, so lots of options to consider. And then there's the whole contract negotiation piece.
Right, that's huge. With all these pricing changes happening, now is the perfect time for businesses to renegotiate their contracts with their carriers.
So don't just accept the new rates as they are.
Exactly. You have more bargaining power than you might think, especially if you ship significant volume. You can try to negotiate a better dim divisor or even waivers for certain package sizes. The key is to be proactive and to have a really good understanding of your own shipping data.
And if you don't have that data readily available or you just feel overwhelmed by the whole negotiation process, it sounds like a company like Franklin Parcel could be a big help.
Absolutely. Franklin Parcel specializes in helping businesses optimize their shipping costs. They offer a free, no-risk audit of your carrier invoices. They'll look for any potential refunds you might be eligible for, things like late deliveries, billing errors, and even incorrect surcharges, including those related to dim weight.
So they dig through your invoices and find money you didn't even know you were owed.
Pretty much, yeah. They'll handle the whole recovery process for you. And they also offer contract negotiation support. They'll analyze your shipping data and use their industry expertise to help you get better terms from your carriers, including those dim weight divisors and waivers.
So if you're feeling lost in the weeds, they can help you get back on track.
Exactly. They can help you take control of your shipping costs and navigate all this complexity.
So to sum it all up, it sounds like these 2025 dim weight changes, they're a big deal.
They are, and businesses need to be proactive. The first step is understanding how these changes, like the lower divisors and the new surcharges, are going to impact their specific shipping patterns.
Right. Knowledge is power.
And then it's all about taking action. Optimize your packaging, explore different carrier options, and negotiate better contracts. Those are the keys to minimizing the impact of these changes.
And it might even be a good time to step back and look at your entire supply chain. Are there other areas where you could be saving money or becoming more efficient? This whole dim weight thing, it might be a wake-up call to reevaluate things.
That's a great point. It's always a good idea to periodically take stock of your operations and see if there are areas for improvement.
Absolutely. Now, for those who are really interested in diving into the specifics, we've included links to the official UPS 2025 service guide, the FedEx shipping rate updates, and information on USPS dimensional weight pricing in our show notes.
Yep. Those resources will give you all the detailed information you need, straight from the carriers themselves.
So that wraps up our deep dive into the 2025 dim weight changes. We hope you found it helpful.
And we hope it empowers you to take control of your shipping costs and stay ahead of the game.